This is Chris Martinez.
Check out Chris is real.
Snake one, Nick.
Hit that subscribe button too. You're gonna kill it.
Make some moves.
Go out there and handle your business.
Good luck. Keep punching.
How do you reinvent yourself each and every time to make it better? And Chris Martinez is doing that, and I'm very thankful.
I dig it. I couldn't have said it any better myself.
This is Chris Martinez. You know his story well. Perhaps next time he can help tell yours.
And that's the bottom line, because we said so.
Hey everyone, welcome to Super Heavy. I'm Chris Martinez. Today on our show, we have a guy who got in a fist fight a while back, but he's also a photographer, a podcaster, and a really creative guy. The one and only Mike Jackson. How you doing, Mike?
Man, I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me on your show.
So it's election day. I know there's a lot going on. I'm here in California. Where are you at right now?
I'm in Houston, Texas. Great city, great state.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your journey, how you got to the UFC. But let's backtrack. Where'd you grow up, and what was your early life like?
Houston, Texas. Born and raised. I don't think I'll ever really move away from the city. It just, man, I love it so much. I have my own day out here, so it's just an amazing place, you know. But for me, I grew up just with the athletic background. You know, I played sports, you know, started baseball, did all the other team sports, basketball, football, tennis, all these things. And I never really got into combat sports until I got older, so I was later on in life in college. And then it's something you fall in love with. You know, you can't really kind of half-ass it. You got to really, you know, pick. If you want to compete, you got to train hard. If you really want to get in there and do something with it. But I had just a different vision. I come from a different background creatively, so I know you can't fight forever. You have to have a backup plan. But I wanted a backup plan inside the sport, and so I just got this. I'm like a media personality. I have the photography. I work with, you know, do some videos behind, you know, the scenes and some production. So I've built this sort of brand and lane for myself that will, you know, allow me sustainability in the sport for a long time. And then the fighting, I kind of doing at the same time. And then I just, you know, right place, right time, got the call, you know, did the CM Punk thing. And now, you know, we're just training, getting ready, you know, just, you know, even with the pandemic going on, and get ready to get back in there, you know, hopefully soon.
What maybe inspired you growing up to explore your creative side? Was it, you know, movies in the 80s and 90s or TV shows?
Yeah, I grew up. I was always into the old school kung fu movies or karate movies, you know, even the blood sports. Even still to this day, I'll you know, still watch Rage of the Ninja. So I always grew up a fan of that, fan of wrestling, fan of boxing, just a fan of fighting, you know. Later on in life, I stumbled upon the earlier UFC fights, which was introduced to me when the Royce Gracie days. And then you had a little bit of the crossover. You had Ken Shamrock, who crossed over into the WWF back in the day. So you have this exposure to fighting, and you're just a fan of it. But I wasn't really able to do that and compete as a kid. Like I said, I didn't find it until later in life. But I always had that drive to kind of want to compete. And then it fell in my lap, and I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna be a ninja or some shit," you know. And it was just cool.
As a creative kid, I mean, were you a little scrappy too, or was this a whole new side of your personality that came out, or were you always, you know, kind of down to mix it up?
Nah, it was a whole new side. You know, I never really got into fights as a kid. I maybe got into some little, you know, with your cousins. We did some things, you know, but nothing. Again, no, I didn't compete or anything like that. Never got into any fights. And then when I began fighting, I really didn't tell anyone. But then once people start, you know, you got to sell tickets. And so once you start telling people you're fighting, hell, come buy a ticket to come out. People confused about it. But they took to it. They say after they saw me compete, they're like, all right, it makes sense. You can fight, so that's cool. And then, like I said, I was just immersed in the sport. That's what my whole life is basically fighting now.
Yeah, so you mentioned you were a fan of professional wrestling. I know some people like to think MMA and wrestling are complete opposites and have nothing to do with each other, but historically and the way the content is produced, the way the show is put together, the way the narrative is told, the two, you'd be a fool to not think that the two go hand in hand. That's something that you saw early on and wanted to incorporate in your career?
Nah, that's a good question. I don't know, because I do have that theater side to me as well, being a fan of the sport. I've worked with, Booker T's out here. He has a gym. He has a promotion. I've done some commentary on his shows. I've done some spots at some, wrestling shows out here. So I was just, I don't know. I'm just a fan of it, dude. That's really all it was. Just a big fan. And again, when you can go out and try something, like when you're a fan of it, right? If you can go out and actually try the sport or whatever, you're going to do it. So that's kind of what I did.
Of course, I respect every fighter who goes out there and gets in the ring, but I think some guys do see kind of the bigger picture because, I mean, it is entertainment, it is storytelling, it is distracting people from their lives. I personally worked with Tito Ortiz for a while, and I know that as he was, coming up, he infused aspects of wrestling from, his flame shorts to his bleach blonde hair, and gimmick kind of sounds like a bad word, but it's more like trademarks or persona.
That was definitely his gimmick. We know what he did, but so here's the thing, right? When you're in a fighting sport and you decide to sort of go down that path, you have to like that's in your mind it may start off as a gimmick, but it becomes reality, and you have to look at a few characters. You look at the Chael Sonnens, like the things that he was saying, although it came off like a wrestling gimmick, he was saying these things to real people, like people who they were in the game with him. They weren't in the gimmick. Like, so this thing like he was saying to Anderson Silva, although it comes off like a wrestling shoot or whatever, like Anderson's like, nah, like he's actually saying that to him, so he's taking it personal.
Yeah, trust me, Tito and Chael, that's still live as ever and real as ever. There was no kayfabe there. But
exactly, that's what they chose, and they use their platform to magnify. And that's the thing is like these dudes aren't like, you can't be that way all day, right? But when you get in public or in camera, like no one has the energy. I don't care. You don't have the energy to be all up like that the whole time. But when the cameras and stuff come on, you amplify yourself, and like with Kobe Covington, look what he's doing. It started off as a gimmick, probably in his mind. He's looking for attention East away.
It's more than just the punches and the kicks. Like if we don't know who these fighters are as people, the gimmick is just kind of a way to explain it. But like the Diaz brothers, we know what they're about. Masvidal, we know what he's about. Right. Usman,
exactly.
And I could go and explain to my dad, oh, you remember the Diaz brothers, the guys from up north, and he gets it, So where do you think the power of social media and like kind of telling your own narrative, making your own content, is that something you think is important for fighters these days? So
it depends on what you're trying to get out of it, right? So I used to, a while back, when I first got into it, I got into it on the management side too, and I was consulting and helping fighters with their branding. So you have to look at yourself as a business. And damn, I'm giving away some free content right now. Ooh, shit. If you have the right team around you, then you can do whatever. You can just be you. If you're like a recluse and you just stay at home, play video games and train, then you can do that. But if you don't have and then you can have a team that, you can still do that. But if you don't have like the personality, like you have to have the team. If you have the personality, you can get on Twitch, you can, make businesses and brands and sell yourself. So the branding is really important. Like as from a business side, if you just trying to fight, you have to be in the UFC to sort of get, like, if you're the guy who simply is in it for fighting and you're not looking to like sell yourself, you have to get all the way to the UFC where it's just about the fight. Because if you're just winning fights with no personality, they just gonna keep throwing you in there. Now, you may not get like a title route or whatever because people may think you're boring or whatever, but they'll get you fights because you're just really good, and then eventually you'll get, where you gotta go. But at a lower level, you almost have you have to sell yourself, because for you to get on shows, you have to sell tickets. And now, if you have a loyal like family and friends, cool. But what about the people outside of that who want to like tune in and watch you on TV, or just people who don't know you want to buy tickets and support? So you have to find a way to to brand yourself. You have to figure out what it is. Like, you have to find whatever your lane is, and go down that path if you want to be successful in the sport. Because I know a lot of people who work in hard jobs and trying to get to the UFC. You know what I'm saying? Like, people who trying to get to the UFC, they want to just be UFC fighters. My guy Adrian Yanez, who's just doing his thing, he was just now able to quit his job to be a full-time fighter. You know what I'm saying? So think about the path that he had to take to get to the UFC. So he's training to be in the UFC with some of the best of the world, but he still got to work this 9 to 5 to pay his bills. You know what I'm saying? So you have all of these things that are holding you back that you got to overcome. And that's the goal, is to get to the UFC so you just fight.
Yeah, I mean, I know the journey is definitely uphill, but there has been a huge change even in the last 10, 15 years. When I started my career as a camera guy, it was for King of the Cage. It's like a small company out here in California.
Yeah.
But that
King of the Cage with the yellow canvas, right?
Yeah, yellow canvas. I did a ton of shows out in Indian casinos because it was still illegal out here, and that was where Uriah Faber got started. He was actually my first day on the job was shooting him.
Days.
Yeah, and back then,
that's what's up.
Yeah, back then, fighters at the end of the night got their fight on a VHS tape if they were lucky, So now with the power of
that's the good old days. So I came in right after that. I came in 2008. I remember when you just like showed up to the venue and like you just gave a dude like a CD for your workout music.
Yeah.
There were I have photos from my fight, and the photos are so bad. Like, I was going through photos over the quarantine or whatever, and it was all blurry. Out of focus and shit. Video, I do have video of my very first fight, but I came in right when the videos started getting popular. Because even at a point when how I built up part of my brand was doing like video blogs, like where you got behind the scenes kind of with some commentary, mine and shit like that. But then I ended up started working for promoters where I was the video guy. And so I was the one doing and before me, there were no video guys. People couldn't see their fights, but I ended up getting out of that and got into the photography because it was more money and it was just better for me.
Right on. So to get back to your time in the spotlight in the cage, you said you were a fan of great fight movies. You kind of lived out a Rocky moment of your own. So for those who maybe didn't catch your fight, in a nutshell, how did that night go, and how do you look back at it now that it's a little bit removed?
It was definitely a cool little vibe. You have a guy who is unathletic. Like these are facts. Like these are actual facts. Like you go back to even his wrestling days. He's someone who's unathletic. I've seen the way he like throws his punches and everything. And then given like the wear and tear on his body he already has, he's older guy. He couldn't, like, I saw what he did against Mickey. I saw like some training videos, and that was like him hitting pads or whatever. And there was just no way for him to get good enough to beat him. So there are two kinds of like guys, right? That who aren't good who come in the gym. You have people who come in the gym who can't fight, like they're guys like they're just really bad at fighting. Like, you know, they're tough dudes, so you know, they can get in there and they can, you know, do some damage, but they're just not really good at fighting. And then you have people who just can't fight. Like it's just not in the cards for them. Like just like there are people who can't dance. They just not in the cards for them, right? Because that's kind of how it started, was where he called me a can in like an interview. I think it was like on ESPN or some shit. And he called me a can. And I was like, dog, you really like, you can't fight, you know? And like, you can't like, and again, so it goes back to the gimmick thing that I said about wrestling. And wrestling, you can say some shit like that and get away with it. When we're actually fighting, you got to back it up now. Right? So that was kind of my motivation for campaigning for the fight, was I wanted to get him back for that shit. Like my dude called me a can on ESPN. Like I can't let that stand. So in the fight, like I had every intention to knock him out. Like, I had every intention though. And I easily could have. But after he threw the double jab and I realized he couldn't fight, I was like, damn, I can't knock this dude out. Cause like if I could really hurt this dude. Like if I would have knocked him out, right? So I go in there but I also have to prove that he don't belong in here. So I got to do both, right? I got to prove he doesn't belong, but I can't hurt him where like I fuck his life up. Like, you know, he's doing like commentary now. Like if I would have knocked this dude out to the point where he couldn't talk anymore, I'd feel bad, right? And that's what the people wanted. People wanted me to kill this guy. It was crazy. To this day, people still like, I'll comment on a post or whatever, and then someone like, yeah, you still didn't finish CM Punk. I'm like, dog, y'all wanted me to murder that dude in the cage that night. It's crazy. So I just go out there and just beat the dude up just to show that he don't belong here. Like I sent the dude, I got like 30-26 on the scorecards. I sent the dude to the emergency room. Like, that's why he didn't do interviews after. Like, isn't that enough? Right? So, at the end of the day, it was a cool moment. It wasn't as big as I think people thought it was. It was cool. I'll tell you this. The walkout was crazy because, like, I knew I was coming in this dude's backyard going to be the hill, but I didn't expect like the boos were deafening. Like I could barely hear my song over the speakers.
There's the Mike Jackson entrance. Here he comes to the octagon.
Like that's how loud the boos were. So yeah, like overall, like it was a cool moment and cool experience. But I told people before, like before the fight, I was like, this shit's gonna be over. Like, people are gonna be done talking about it. Well, I was kind of wrong about that. But people still talking about it years later, like 2 years later. But like the moment is past for me. I'm just ready to get back in there, you know, because like I have more to show and more to prove than just that fight, you know. I've trained, I've gotten better. And just ready to get back in there. I was hoping to get back in there earlier this year, but, you know, the Rona hit, and that threw some messed up our plans. But hopefully we get something. I'm looking maybe the beginning of late December, because now we're already in November. So either like late December, early January. Hopefully I get some, you know. We're just waiting and seeing.
Great. So, I mean, I know there was some talk, after the fight, but it sounds like that all got cleared up. That's all under the bridge.
Oh, yeah, sorry about the shit. Dana was like, look, Dana just talk. Like, people, y'all can't believe it. Like, y'all heard all the shit that Dana says that end up just goes in one ear, out the other.
Michael Jackson, I'm not happy with. This guy was acting like a goofball tonight.
Like, I killed their cash cow. If you think about it, right? They brought this wrestler in, who has this huge fan base. People are going to tune in. People want to see the CM Punk experiment. He ended up making like I think $1 million total. Like, I think he made $500,000 disclosed per fight. That's just so he made $1 million disclosed. He probably made more behind the scenes, right? So if he made that, how much money do you think the UFC made? Right? So I told people before, if between when it was like me and Gall going for the fight or whatever, I said, look, if Gall goes in there, he gonna take him down, submit him, and that's gonna be it. If I go in there, I'm going there to beat the dude up, right? I said that before the Gall fight, before I fought Gall. Gall submits me, then he goes and submits Punk, and then I was like, see? That's what happens. And then, because it was talk about, especially once they said they were going to give him another shot, I'm like, see, that's what's going to happen. They going to take it. He got submitted. It's going to be like, we didn't get to see what he has. And so I went out there, and you can't, after what I did to him, you can't come back from that. So I basically cut the head off a cash cow. And so he was a little upset. He threw a little fit. It's okay. I don't take it personal. I didn't take it personal even then. I was in the moment though, I was upset because in the moment when I found out about it, I was trying to go eat some pizza because I'd never been to Chicago before. And so I wanted to try the Chicago deep dish. And so I'm getting to the restaurant, and then the lady was like, oh, it's going to take 45 minutes. I was like, damn, 45 minutes for some pizza? So I'm waiting for the pizza, and then I get on Twitter, and I'm seeing what he's saying, because I actually wanted to talk to him after the fight. I didn't run into him, so I didn't get to talk to him. So the first thing I see when I'm waiting on my pizza is this dude talking shit about me. So in the moment, it ruined my mood because I don't even think I even ate a slice of the pizza. But then I took one slice. Then I didn't want to eat no more. It ruined my appetite. But then the next day, I was pretty I was like, whatever. And so I didn't really sweat it no more. So and then I've talked to him since, and we laughed about it. But yeah, it is what it is.
I mean, so much happens in this sport so fast. I'm sure he had a bigger headache a week after that. But I watched the fight live. I was entertained. I watched the build-up. I thought you did great in all your media. I thought you took the fight seriously. You ended him. And after the fight, I heard Bisping say, your boxing was on point. And I'm excited.
That's cool. I didn't know he said that. That's what's up.
Jackson on the other side, listen, the boxing was good. The boxing was sharp. Fair play to both of us.
So I'm excited to see your next fight.
The way it's looking to be, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be watching. So where could fans follow you, catch up with you? What are you up to these days other than fighting?
I'm doing some content, through social media and stuff like that. But I'm active on Twitter, Instagram. All are at the Truth Jackson. The Facebook is at the Truth Jackson as well. You get a little bit different content on each one, different kind of interactions as well. But that's where you can stay up on everything.
Yeah, I know you have you put out a lot of great positivity and some social awareness stuff. So definitely, guys, check out Mike's social media. And hey, Mike, if you run into Booker T, tell him I said what's up. When I was a kid, I went to a Monday Night Nitro in Vegas, and all the wrestlers stayed there. So all weekend I was seeing them in the hotel. When I saw Booker T in the elevator, I asked him about getting hit in the head with a chair the night bore, and he never broke kayfabe. made me feel, you know, in the moment and in the scene. So I'll never forget him. So that's awesome to hear that he's one of your buddies and that you're working with a great Booker T. So Mike, take care. Stay safe out there. I know there's a lot going on in Texas, but I can't wait for your fight, and I hope our paths cross sometime.
No doubt, my guy. I appreciate you.
All right, guys. My name is Chris Martinez. This was Super Heavy. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.